We check our smartphones an average of 150 times a day. It's the last thing we see before we sleep, and the first thing we touch when we wake up. We've outsourced our memories to the cloud, our direction to GPS, and our social lives to algorithms. But what if the algorithm stopped predicting which shoes you want to buy and started predicting the only thing that truly matters? The exact moment your heart stops beating. Imagine waking up to a notification. It's not a like on Instagram or a work email. It's a simple, elegant countdown timer on your lock screen. It doesn't tell you how you die, it just tells you when. Today, we are diving into a chilling what-if scenario that borders on a digital nightmare. What if your smartphone could predict the death of everyone around you? To understand the weight of this, we first have to look at our relationship with technology. We already live in an age of predictive analytics. Your phone knows you're pregnant before you do based on your search history. It knows you're about to quit your job based on your GPS patterns. The leap from predicting your consumer behavior to predicting your biological expiration isn't as far as you think. But when the mystical enters the digital, the rules of the world shatter. Imagine a new app appears overnight. It's unkillable, undeletable. It's called Terminus. When you open it, the camera activates. As you point your phone at people in the street, a floating digital number appears above their heads. 40 years, 12 days, 3 minutes, 14 seconds. At first, the world treats it like a viral prank, a clever AR filter designed to spook teenagers. But then, the 14-second timer hits zero. A man crosses the street, a distracted driver hits the brakes too late, and the screen flashes red. Session closed. The first stage of this global phenomenon would be the denial. Scientists would scramble to explain the coincidence. Is it a mass hallucination? A synchronized terrorist hack? But as the data pours in, the terrifying truth emerges. The app is never wrong. It's not calculating probabilities. It's reading a script that has already been written. The smartphone has become a window into the machinery of fate. Now let's talk about the psychological collapse. If you knew you had exactly 3 hours to live, what would you do? You wouldn't go to work. You wouldn't pay your bills. You wouldn't care about the social contract. Now imagine millions of people reaching that realization simultaneously. The economy would evaporate in a single afternoon. Why would a pilot fly a plane if he sees a 00500 timer on his own reflection in the cockpit glass? Why would a surgeon operate if the phone shows the patient is destined to die on the table, regardless of the technique? The world would divide into 2 types of people, the long-timers and the flickers. Those with decades left would become the new aristocracy. They would take extreme risks, believing they are invincible because the clock says they have 50 years. They would walk into fires, jump from planes, and drive like maniacs, fueled by a toxic digital hubris. But the flickers, those with days or hours, would become a desperate, volatile underclass. When you have nothing to lose, not even the next sunrise, the law loses its meaning. But here is where the mystery deepens. Our protagonist is a data analyst who notices a glitch in the app. He sees a woman on the subway whose timer is flickering. It's jumping between 50 years and 5 seconds. Every time she makes a choice, to get off at the next stop or stay on the train, the numbers dance. This introduces the most terrifying question of all. Is death a fixed point? Or is the smartphone causing the deaths by showing us the timer? Think about the self-fulfilling prophecy. You see a timer saying, you have 10 minutes. You panic. You run out into the street, heart pounding, looking for danger. You're so distracted by the countdown that you don't see the loose roof tile falling from the building above. The app didn't predict your death, it led you to it. The smartphone becomes a digital voodoo doll, the ultimate tool of social control. Governments would quickly move to regulate the terminus data. Imagine a world where your credit score is replaced by your life expectancy score. Banks won't give you a mortgage if you have less than 20 years. Companies won't hire you if your timer is under a decade. Marriage wouldn't be until death do us part, but until the timer hits 5 years. Insurance companies would stop paying out, and the healthcare industry would pivot from saving lives to managing the countdown. But the true horror is the social isolation. We use our phones to connect, but the death clock would create an unbridgeable chasm. Would you fall in love with someone if you saw a 6-month timer above their head on your first date? Would you even say hello? We would become a society of ghosts, avoiding anyone whose timer is too low, fearing the contagion of tragedy. We would stop looking at people's eyes and only look at the numbers through our screens. As the mystery unfolds, our protagonist discovers the source of the app. It's not an alien signal or a divine decree. It's a hyper-advanced AI built by a tech conglomerate that merged with a secret occult society. They realized that the only way to achieve perfect order was to eliminate the unpredictability of death. If everyone knows when they die, they are easier to manage. They found a way to bridge the gap between quantum physics and ancient divination. The app is actually a quantum observer. In physics, the act of observing a particle changes its state. By observing our death, we lock it into reality. This leads to the Great Dark. A cult emerges, the Nullifiers. They believe that by destroying all smartphones, they can regain their free will. They start burning data centers, smashing towers, and returning to a pre-digital existence. But they find that once you've seen the clock, you can't unsee it. The number is burned into the back of your retinas. Even without the phone, you can feel the rhythm of the countdown in your pulse. Now, imagine the end of the cycle. The protagonist finds a way to hack the app. He finds his own entry in the database, but instead of a number, there's a line of code. Wait for input. He realizes that for one person, and only one, the timer isn't a prediction, it's a choice. He has the power to reset the world's clocks. But there's a catch. To give the world back its uncertainty, to give people back their free will, he has to delete the concept of time itself. If he succeeds, no one will know when they die anymore, but they will also lose the safety of knowing they have time left. People had grown addicted to the countdown. It gave them a strange comfort. They knew exactly how much time they had to procrastinate, how much time to say, "I love you," how much time to waste. Without the clock, the old anxiety returns, the fear of the thief in the night. The script reaches its climax when the protagonist stands in a massive server farm, his thumb hovering over the delete all button. He looks at his phone one last time. He sees the timers of every person in the building. He sees a security guard with 20 seconds left. He sees a technician with 40 years. If he deletes the app now, does the guard live? Or does he die in total darkness, unaware and unprepared? The mystery of the smartphone death clock isn't about the technology. It's about the fact that we are already living this way. We spend our lives counting down to the weekend, counting down to retirement, counting down to the next vacation. The app just makes the invisible visible. It forces us to confront the one truth we spend our entire lives trying to forget, that our time is a depleting resource. In the final scene, the protagonist deletes the app. The screens across the world go black. For a moment, there is a global silence. People look up from their devices. They look at each other's faces instead of the floating numbers. There is a sense of immense relief, followed by a terrifying, beautiful realization. They are free, but they are also mortal again. The screen fades to black as a single notification sound rings out, the classic ding of a text message. A new message appears on a discarded phone, on the floor. It doesn't have a name, it just says, "Are you ready for what comes next?" So, what would you do? If a notification popped up on your phone right now, telling you that you had exactly 24 hours left, would you spend those hours trying to find a way to hack the system? Or would you finally put the phone down, walk outside, and look at the sky for the first time in years? History is a record of people trying to cheat death, from the pyramids of Egypt to the cryogenics labs of Silicon Valley. But maybe the greatest tragedy of the modern age isn't that we die, but that we are so busy staring at the countdown that we forget to live the minutes we have left. The mystery of the Terminus app remains. Was it a test, a warning, or just the logical conclusion of a world that wants an app for everything? We may never know. But the next time your phone vibrates in your pocket, take a second before you look at the screen. Ask yourself, do you really want to know what it has to say? Because some secrets, once whispered by the silicon and the light, can never be forgotten.